This video is a continuation of the Japan video, where we traveled from Hiroshima to Shimonoseki, Japan, which is not far from Fukuoka. We boarded the Seongi ferry bound for Busan, South Korea. Here, I walk around and check out this huge boat, which we took overnight. It was very comfortable, and we had our own room with proper beds. In the morning, shortly after sunrise, we arrived in Busan. The first place that we visited after getting off the boat was this seafood market, where you could find any kind of fresh seafood, including fish, shrimp, crabs, squid, and more. We even saw them unloading the squid from the boat in plastic tubs, where the people at the end of the conveyor belt hooked the tubs with a metal rod and hauled them to the market to sell. Later that day, we visited this temple. Walking around the peaceful grounds was very enjoyable. Later that night, we set off looking for a temple close to the ocean. And man, it was dark and scary. Then we were starving, and we saw this Korean barbecue, which looked incredible. And it tasted just as good. All the side dishes were excellent. The kimchi and the grilled pork, which was cooked at our table for us. The next day, we explored along the coastline, which was truly breathtaking. Later, as we were walking, we came across a temple where some friendly locals invited us to join in eating some soup and kimchi. And man, was that soup good. After some more exploring of the local area and the temples, we took an overnight bus to Seoul. When we arrived at Seoul Station, there was many people, and it was a very big train station. We found our way out of the station and to our hostel. The next day, we took the very efficient subway system to Gangnam Station. We walked to the World Taekwondo Center and wandered around this huge facility. From there, we walked to the Olympic Park, commemorating the 1988 Summer Olympic Games that were held in Seoul. We saw the Olympic flame that is still lit today. We also visited the Olympic Museum, where we learned about the history of the Olympic Games, specifically the 1988 Olympic Games. After a trip to the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea, I returned to Seoul and then headed to Chunchoen by train, where I participated in the Chunchoen Marathon, an incredible marathon that runs around a lake. If you're a runner, I'd highly recommend it for the beautiful scenery and cool weather. I returned to Seoul where I visited the Bukchon Hanok village, which is a traditional village right in the middle of Seoul. I also visited some palaces and explored the city. Then it was time to head to the airport located outside of Seoul in Incheon to take my flight back to Bangkok, Thailand. Comparing Japan and South Korea, they're both amazing countries, and I'd highly recommend visiting both of them for the delicious food, culture, attractions, and sights. But the one difference that stands out in my mind is the cost of things. In Japan, I'd say the cost is double of what it is in South Korea. So keep that in mind when you're deciding which place to visit. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment to the comment section below, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when I post future videos. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.